don't deserve to be proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. A lot of people say, oh, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely not only realistic, because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself. So you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything.
Right.
I'm good at everything I do. The things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course. And I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do anything I'm not good at.
You just hire.
I either hire or I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah.
I'm not good at darts, right? I do what I'm good at. Yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times. You need to get up. And like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess, the two combined, that's how it comes down to. And when people say, oh, I have confidence issues, usually I can look them up and down and say, yeah, if I was you, I would completely and utterly struggle with confidence issues. Because the world is competitive, and there's men like me on the planet and friends like mine on the planet, and you're competing against us for money, for girls, for status, for resource, and you're going to be destroyed and decimated the entire time. So of course you have confidence issues when you can be annihilated in real time by the competitor. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have confidence issues? You'd be psychopathic not to. I don't even know the story of the 4-minute mile, but when everyone was running, long distance running, everyone said a 4-minute mile was impossible. And everyone was attempting it was impossible. And then one guy did it one day, and after he did it, 10 people did it in like 3 weeks. Yeah. And it's like the belief. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people when they're canceled go, I'm done. Now, nobody else has I will sit here and openly say my network and the things I do and the unique way I approach it and the war room and the organization I have and the money I have and the influence I have is unique. Most people don't have that. However, people will have the morale to go, I've been canceled, but you know what? I'm not quitting. Doesn't matter. I'm not giving up. All right, just make a new account. Bang, back to work, back to work, back to work. And on a long enough scale, if enough people do that, there will be inertia and momentum behind it, which will make a shift in the universe. It will attack the matrix in real time. It's belief.
I have a question about
belief. You must believe.
I believe in you.
You must, no, but you must believe.
I fucking believe in you, bro.
That's Andrew. The key. Net worth is subjective, like we just discussed. I think it's more about how much and I don't even think it's how much money you have in the bank, because you can tear through any amount of money. It's how much money you're earning.
Okay.
I think a good life costs about $1 million a month.
Wow. That's a big figure.
$1 million a month is a good life. $500,000 a month is doable, and you can still live good. But if you want to really truly live like the best human experience, it costs about $1 million a month.
And is that earned income or income with your assets increasing?
That's income that you have coming into the bank that you can spend.
Okay, that you're taxed on as well. So it's slightly less than that, but
depending where you pay tax.
When I started my business, I was told by my mentor, what you've got to have a good life is 100,000 a month. That was 36 years ago.
Well, it's pretty similar now, maybe inflation and stuff, but I can give you, it depends on the way you're living, right? Because I told this story before on another podcast, but Dan Bilzerian messaged me and he said, look, let's hang out. I was like, all right, cool. And I was in Bucharest. He was in France. So by the time I only wanted to go see him for a day. So by the time I got the jet, I wanted my security team to come. So I had to get the 4 security team, and they came and obviously had to pay their wage. And I put the cars on the truck to make sure they were waiting for me there in case we would decide to go for a spin. And then I landed with the security team, and everyone needs hotels. It's 8 people in a 5-star hotel. And then you're on the ground. You have to rent these V classes, armored ones to look after you. And you go, you see Dan, you talk to him for an hour, you have dinner, and then everyone gets back on the jet. By the time I saw Dan in a 48-hour whirlwind, by the time we moved the cars, which I didn't drive, and security came, et cetera, you spent $400,000. You spend $400,000 to go see your friend. But it's very difficult for a government to even pretend to give a shit about the average person to me, because I understand how all this works. So the government comes along and decides to give out free money. The average person in the middle or at the bottom goes, wait, free money. Government cares about the poor person. No, they don't. Let's keep it very simple. Let's say they gave every person in the UK £1,000. They're either going to save that money, or they're going to spend that money, or they're going to, let's say, invest that money. If they spend that money, which is what 90% of them would do, it goes to corporations, making the corporations filthy rich. The stock price of Amazon during COVID went to the moon because everyone's sitting at home bored, just buying stuff, right? So there's less corporations than there are people. So let's say you give everyone in the UK £1,000. A lot of that money goes to one guy, Jeff Bezos. The rich get richer, just like before. Let's say they invest it. Well, they're going to invest it in what? The stock market? Well, that increases the share price of companies. Who owns companies? Rich people. Let's say for somehow 200 of these people are best friends and they're never going to argue, and they get together and they get £200,000 and they buy a house, for example. That's still going to raise the price of housing on that street. The house owners to homeowners are going to get richer. The people who already own things, the asset owners, are always going to get richer. No matter what you do, the people who are poor are always going to get poorer, and the asset owners are always going to get richer.
Yeah.
And it's running away now to a point where the chance of buying a home on the average salary is near on impossible. I mean, you know some hacks, you know some things about it, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how people are surviving on this money.
There's a study I read about stress, and it was saying that stress has a placebo effect attached to it, because the placebo effect is extremely powerful. So they found some of the most stressed people in the world, and they split them into 2 groups. And they're all equally stressed. They all have a bunch of cortisol in their blood.
Yeah.
The people who believed that stress was bad for you and that stress can hurt you, and they believed those media articles, were dying earlier. They were having heart attacks and they were having stress-related illnesses. The people who believe the opposite, who just said, stress is part of being successful. I like stress. When I feel stressed, I do my best. It makes me anxious. It turns my brain on. I like being stressed. Lived longer than average.
Yeah.
The point is, the same drug, how you look at it and how your body anticipates it, how you feel about it, affects the real world results. I don't think motivation is a real thing. I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I think discipline is real, and I also think discontentment is real. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it, but there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you're kind of cool with it, and it's no big deal. If you were truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it.
So I
don't believe there's anybody who's truly, when I was broke, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how the fuck these people have Ferraris? I want a fucking Ferrari. I couldn't sleep.
If I had to open a coffee shop, if I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut, and I'm sitting here, and that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop, which just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p maybe, right? How much is the staff? They pay the staff minimum wage £8 an hour. So I've already paid 30 minutes work from that brokey, the wagey. Yeah. She's there for another 30 minutes for free, right? How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Okay, well, the bitch working here is ugly. My one's going to be hot. Boom, that's the beginning. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No, I'm going to try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No, I need parking. But you need to start thinking about how you can convince people to give you their money as opposed to giving it to the places they already give it.
Different analytics.
And once you do that, people say, I can't think of how to make money. If you start doing that for a year and just keep a notepad, you'll have 100 ideas of how to make money. You'll sit there and go, there's a place here that's doing this, and we could do it better this way. This place online is doing this, we can do it better this way. And then to get them all done, what do you need? Network. You need people. It's all about people. Then you need to either go in the war room if you want to join, or have your people around you and say, okay, we can make money with this. Who's going to do it? Who's not lazy? Who's getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Boom, let's get it done. So there's unlimited ways to make money, but most people go through life and their money is taken from them, and they don't even identify how they got tricked out of it.
They're just happy with it.
Yeah, they just have, how did I spend 16 grand in Cirque last night? Oh, because my ass got drunk. How'd they get me drunk? Well, because the guy, when I first bought the first bottle of champagne, was there on the table, pouring, putting it in my hand, got me drunk, then I spent 16 grand on bottles. That's how they got my money. So if I open a club, I need to make sure when people first come in, they get fucking hammered. Nobody thinks about it that way. Nobody thinks, how did they get that out of me? Right? Why am I spending $2,000 for dinner in Novikov? Is it the food, or is it the fact that I'm in Novikov and tag myself in Novikov? You have to identify how you're getting famoosed, how you're getting finessed. That's how you do it. But most people just walk through life getting finessed left, right, and center, giving all their money up. And they're like, oh, how did that happen?
You got to learn to finesse other people.
Yeah, but it's not finessing in a negative way.
It's in a good way.
It's a good way. You have to take money from other people. That's the only way you're going to make money. Yeah. You have to take it. There's a pimp, and he said a really intelligent line. He said, business is just other people's money. That's all business is. I want to start a business. So you want other people's money. That's what you want. So how are they going to give it to you? You have to think about it. Nobody thinks about it. And the easiest way to think about it is to think how you're giving yours away. That's a mental model you should adopt.
Yeah.
And you'll end up with loads of business ideas. Business ideas are everywhere. It's just execution, which is difficult.
Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. When nobody listens to you, you can say what you want. If you get a platform and start talking, you will learn very quickly how you're not allowed to say what you want because people are listening. You're free to talk in an empty room. You're not free to talk to millions of people who are paying attention to you. So what we have now in the West is a society which is only linked and only bound by this false idea of freedom.
So I'm now at a point where, and my attitude to money, I want to make something clear, is relatively unhealthy. I have no respect for money. There are people who are much smarter with money than me. I don't have any respect for money at all. I don't believe in saving money. And I think a lot of that is down to I'm not advocating people to be like this. It's my life philosophy and the fact that I don't live in any realm of fear at all. I can't imagine myself not being able to make more. I can't ever be poor. And if I wanted something now that took every penny of my net worth, then I would buy it. I'll give you an example. I have an 812 Superfast, a Ferrari. I love it very much. They've released
Very nice.
Yep, they've released the 812 Superfast Competition. They've released a competition version. Instead of 400 grand, it's 1.6 million, which is a big difference for a bit of a body kit. And I want one in Europe and I want one in Dubai, so I bought two. So I bought $3.2 million of Ferraris. Should I have done that? Well, yeah, I can. But my point is I'm happy to just spend money. Don't give a shit, right? But that's down to my faith in myself. So when you're asking how much of my income is disposable, in my mind, all of it. I don't give a shit. I have a lot of money left because I can't possibly spend it, but I'm happy to spend all my money. What really matters are the systems you build, the robust systems. If you have a robust system that's guaranteed to pay you $50,000 a day, and it always will, and you have faith in it, and you're working hard and you're on top of it, and it's going to pay you at 9 a.m. every morning 50 grand, you can spend 50 grand a day if you wanted to. You know, you may not want to, but you could. So for me, all of my money is disposable. I don't have a clue how much money I have. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much money I had. I had 117 pounds in the NatWest, and that was it. I'm poor, rent's paid, I ain't got nothing else. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much I had. But now I'm at a point where it gets really difficult to truly measure how much money I have, because you have cash. Okay, that's easy. I have some crypto, which is constantly fluctuating. And then you have assets, and the price of the assets is constantly fluctuating. And then I have companies and income streams, which need to be valued. And how do you value them, right? They can be an 8 times multiplier in some circumstances, and others they'll be a 10 times multiplier.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult for me to put a value on it. If you were to say to me, how much money do I have in the bank? But then even then, because I've got to be careful what I say on this podcast. But even then, once you have a healthy respect for money, once you get past a certain amount of money, you don't need it in the bank. Like there's no point in me having 50M liquid in the bank. Why? What am I going to buy? You know, you're like, as long as you have whatever you have in the bank to run around the world with, you have enough. So you try and put that money to use, right? You buy assets, XYZ. So it's really difficult. Most people